Francesco Petrarca was born on July 20th, 1304 in Arezzo, Italy. For a while, he and his family lived in the village of Incisca, then later moved to France, where his father, Ser Petrarca, could find a better job as a lawyer. At the time, many of the church leaders, also called popes, left Rome and settled in Avignon, France. Francesco's father wanted him to be a lawyer too. So in 1316 he sent him to Montpellier, France to study law, and then later to Bologna. But Francesco loved reading and writing and wanted to spend all of his time studying literature, which means reading classical books. At Francesco's time, classical literature was written by the Greeks and Romans who lived around 1,000 years before them. So for many years during the medieval ages, these books were not read. So it was becoming popular to read these ancient books. In order to read these books, Francesco also had to learn Latin, the language of the ancient Greeks and Romans. But at law school, Francesco didn't want to be a lawyer and kept reading classical books and wrote some of his first poems. After his father died in 1326, Francesco left law school and returned home to Avignon, where he became a priest and worked with the church. He enjoyed life there and was able to spend most of his time reading and writing. In 1327, while at the church of St. Clare, Francesco saw a woman and instantly fell in love with her. Her name was Laura, and when Francesco reached out to her, he found out that she was married. Even though they were never close, Francesco spent many years writing love poems about her. These poems later became very famous, and other poets mimicked his style. To this day, no one is exactly sure who the object of his affection, Laura, was. In France, he continued writing and finished his first epic poem, Africa, about the legendary Roman general Scipio Africanus. This poem and his other writings about Roman history became popular, and Francesco Petrarca became a celebrity throughout Europe. On April 8, 1341, he became Rome's poet laureate and was crowned on Capitoline Hill. A poet laureate is someone appointed by the government to compose poems for special events and occasions. Even into modern days, to become a poet laureate is one of a poet's highest honors. After this, Francesco traveled across Europe, where he searched out lost manuscripts from ancient Greece and Rome. He took these manuscripts, fixed them up, and with the help of others translated them for other Italians to read. Examples were writings from the Roman senator and scholar Cicero, and religious texts by St. Augustine. Francesco helped start the Italian Renaissance, which found many of its roots in the writings and ideas of the ancient world. Francesco was also a deeply faithful person and found religious texts inspiring. Being Christian, he sought to find connections between ancient Rome and Greece and his own faith. Francesco looked back on the 1,000 years between ancient Rome and his time and called it the Dark Ages, and receives credit for creating that term. Francesco was never married, but fathered 2 children, a son Giovanni and a daughter Francesca. In 1361, when the bubonic plague, also called the Black Death, was sweeping Europe, his son Giovanni died. To escape the plague, Francesco and his daughter moved to Venice. The bubonic plague took the lives of 50 million people, around half the population of Europe. Francesco spent his final years with his daughter and his grandchildren, enjoying time with them. He also had many friends visit and continued to write. In fact, when he died at his home on July 20th, 1374, he was even found with his head resting on the paper which he was writing. Petrarch is sometimes called the father of the Italian Renaissance. Because there was so much wealth in Italy, and a return to the ideas of the ancient world, there was a renewed interest in subjects like philosophy and art. During the Renaissance, artists like Raphael, Michelangelo, and Bernini created beautiful art now on display in places like Florence, Italy. Petrarch is also called the father of humanism. Humanism is an outlook that emphasizes the importance of human affairs over the divine. It stresses the value and goodness of human beings and focuses on rational ways to solve human problems. But Petrarch believed that one could believe in God and be a humanist, that these were two belief systems that could work together to make the world a better place, rather than having to choose one or the other. For many years afterward, Petrarch's ideas influenced other writers and philosophers and helped fuel the flowering of ideas that took off during the Italian Renaissance.